Okay guys, Drew Law Guitars. I'm here with Robben Ford, who is on tour with Robben Ford and the Ford Blues Band. How you doing, Robben?
Doing good, thank you.
How many dates on this tour?
It's a pretty short trip. We played one gig in California at the Mammoth Lakes Blues Festival. That was on the 4th. Then we had about 3-4 days off and flew out to Canada and played in Gravenhurst last night. Tonight we are in
The lovely Kitchener?
Kitchener. I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's okay.
And yeah, I'm going to be in New York with my own trio. Excuse me. I'll be at BB King's tomorrow on the 14th with my trio. Then I do another 4 dates on the eastern seaboard there.
And how's this tour, short as it is, how's the tour been so far?
Oh, we always have a good time. I mean, it's my brother Patrick, his band, the Ford Blues Band, and I mean, it's family, like whenever we have a chance to get together and do this, it's always just a pleasure.
Now, you started out as a sax player, basically, right?
Well, yes. I mean, it was my first instrument.
And from there, Mike Bloomfield was kind of one of your big influences to start out on guitar.
Yeah. When I heard Bloomfield with the Butterfield Blues Band, it just, I was already fooling around with the guitar, playing a little bit. I played a little bit of piano as well, I just like to bang around on instruments. But when I heard Bloomfield, that just kind of really lit me up about the guitar, and I found myself emulating him. And, within a couple of years, I was sounding just like Mike Bloomfield, and that was my thing.
And now, aside from Mike Bloomfield, who were some of the other early influences for you?
Well, Eric Clapton, certainly, Jimi Hendrix, B.B. King, and, a variety of others kind of after that. Albert King, of course, was influential to everyone, but I connected much more to B.B. style. And also Albert Collins. I loved Albert Collins, and I tried to get some of that into my playing, and it was a while there where I really did have a lot of Albert Collins in my playing, but these things would kind of filter in and out, you know what I mean? For a while I'd really kind of see, I wasn't thinking about it, but I would see this style more in my playing, and then it would kind of morph into something else,
Now, was it a conscious decision to try and separate yourself from the blues and get more into a fusion-esque jazz thing for guitar?
No, that just sort of landed on me, I mean, I've always been a traditionalist at heart, but I was invited, to join Tom Scott and the LA Express and tour with Joni Mitchell, and I mean, it was such a completely different world from what I'd been doing, all the way up to that point, So it was a major shift in my development, and quite frankly, I didn't care for fusion jazz so much. I thought it was commercialized music, and I was a real purist, But I started to learn so much with these people, and I started to kind of, like, my prejudices about this kind of music, that kind of music, started to fall away. And it really opened up just an enormous world of music to me, and opportunities as well, because, I found myself able to fit into a variety of situations instead of one or two.
Now, you did a stint with Miles Davis.
Uh-huh.
What was that like? That must have been incredible.
Well, to get a chance to play with, your ultimate musical icon is kind of, I never thought it would happen. And had I thought about it, I might even have been able to make it happen before then, when I realized it was a possibility. It's like, oh, I guess that could have happened, and sure enough it did. I mean, again, I just got the call, never expecting it. But, it was a great experience, obviously, for me. We got on well, and I know that he liked me and liked my playing, and, of course, I loved him, and I was already very influenced by him, so I'd already learned a lot of the lessons before I even got there, But, the situation around him was not so great. His management was kind of weird, and people didn't really treat the band so well, And I had just signed with Warner Brothers. I had my own solo record to do, so I stayed with him for about 5.5, 6 months, and then I quit to go on. And he told me, if you ever want to come back, just come back. which was kind of the ultimate compliment,
That's incredible. That's incredible. I'm going to break away for a minute and talk a little bit about gear. Now, through the years, you've gone back and forth between Tellys and 335s and hard body Hartfield style 335s and twins. I remember seeing you play at Richards on Richards in Vancouver about 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And with the Blue Line. And you were playing, you switched that night between, I think, a signature Hartfield and a Telly. What are you using currently?
Well, Fender made an instrument for me in the custom shop. It was, called the Robben Ford model, and it was the Elite Esprit, I think, was the name of the guitar.
Right.
And they made a couple of lower line versions of the same thing.
Correct.
I did, that guitar initially had cavities in it. I eventually did move to a solid body and more Les Paul oriented sound,
So the original version of that guitar was a chambered.
It was chambered.
Double cutaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason why I said Hartfield is because I think when Fender had purchased Hartfield, and they modeled a guitar exactly like that.
Yeah.
And I thought the original
was a different
version.
thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
What are you using right now?
Well, my primary instruments are the same 60 Telecaster, which I've got with me here today, a 68 Les Paul with mini humbuckers. I actually put a full humbucking pickup in the treble position, kept the mini in the front, and I don't have that with me here today, but that's really turning out to be a great instrument for me. It seems, just basically the two instruments that I am able to use consistently and be comfortable with and do what I need is the Telly and some kind of Les Paul type guitar,
Yep.
Moved away from the cavities. And
What about for amps and pedals and stuff?
well, my main amp is the Dumble Overdrive Special. I have two of them, and I've been using those amps, one in particular, for since 1983. So.
Have you been able to bring those on tour with you, or are you using backline for
Often.
the tour? Yeah.
Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't.
Okay.
I do it when I can.
Okay.
I'm trying more and more to tailor the situation to I can, because I really miss it generally.
Yeah, for sure.
But here today I've got a Super and a Twin, and they're actually good amplifiers. And I have a TC Electronics reverb unit. It's a relatively new thing for TC. It's a little red box. It's got stereo out, and so I'm running, one to each amplifier.
The Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm using that reverb and shutting the reverbs down on the amps.
Now, speaking of the TC Electronics, they've got this new thing called Tone Print, which is a computer generation kind of thing. Do you use those features on
I
these?
don't know anything about tone print.
Okay. It's basically the USB connector on it.
Mm-hmm.
You can connect it to your computer and download.
Oh, gee,
Exactly.
that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen with you. What else would we find in your pedal board?
I think I have a Love pedal. It's kind of a
Rothwell compressor.
it's like a saturation. It's kind of an overdrive, but really it sounds more kind of tubey and like an amplifier overdrive. I like that thing.
Mm-hmm.
I still use a Zen drive from time to time. I've got one here with me today. Some kind of volume pedal. I've been going through different things there. I use a vintage wah, and I don't even use the, I don't like power. I don't like, anything. Just a battery and the old funky thing. I like that, And there is a tremolo that I'm using. I can't think of the name of it right now. Mike Landau turned me on to it. I don't know if you know what Mike uses.
I don't know his setup. I know that you're playing with him in the Renegade thing.
Yeah, Renegade Creation.
Yeah.
It's a band that we have together. And, my sound is generally pretty straight ahead. You're not too affected. I have the Line 6 stereo delay unit. It's had a mod done to it, so it's a little cleaner, a little better. And that's about it.
Now, do you run all this stuff into the face of two amplifiers, or are you running anything through effects loops?
I have no effects loops at this point.
Okay, so everything's going into the face of the amps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. You also use a guitar that you worked with, I believe, a Japanese guitar maker to make?
Yeah, Taku Sagashita.
And
yeah, he made a custom guitar for me that I used for about 4 years, very consistently. It's on the cover of the Truth album, yeah, that instrument was great for me for quite a while there, but I finally moved completely into vintage. I'm just using vintage. I just can't use anything that isn't, at least 40, 50 years old. It doesn't seem to work.
Oh, it makes
for
sense.
me.
Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me.
That old wood.
Okay, to break away from that now, I read recently that you did a little bit of work with Kiss on Creatures of the Night.
Well, yes.
How did that come about?
Their producer I had worked with, and he, there's at least 5 or 6 different guitar players on that record, and guys came in, and I took 2 solos on the album.
That must have been a pretty cool experience.
Well, it was interesting. I mean, it's not exactly my world, but they were nice enough guys. I spent a lot of time with Gene Simmons, a little bit with Paul Stanley. They were the only 2 guys who were really around, and nice people, and we all got on well and did what we did.
Yeah, when I read that, I found, wow, this is an extremely odd fit. I know you're completely skilled enough to do it, but I found that's interesting because it was kind of like all the things that you've done, it was the only very, very rock thing.
Yeah.
Straight ahead rock thing.
Absolutely.
That's kind of cool. Let's talk a little bit about the Guitar Dojo.
Alrighty.
We've been, I don't know if you know this or not, but when you started with the Guitar Dojo, I spoke to some people that are on your team, and we have been promoting that for you for a long time at Loud Guitars. Yeah. So you want to tell everybody what the dojo's about?
Well, I do enjoy teaching, and I do clinics, throughout the world, but fairly regularly in my hometown, where I live in Ojai, California. And I was approached about doing online lessons, and I liked the company and the people, and I said yes, but they never got up and out there in the world, and I just kind of got tired of waiting. The company's called Riff Time, and they will come online. It will happen, but I was like, I don't want to wait any longer, So I said, I'm just going to go ahead, and you guys let me know when you're ready, And it was easy for me just to get something up, That was not a problem. They have a lot more issues than I. So basically it's streaming of lessons, and it is evolving into actually downloading. That will happen pretty soon. But you can go to the site, robbenford.com, and go to Guitar Dojo, and there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-minute lessons regarding specific subjects, and there's also another thing that I've done called the Original Composition Series, where I demonstrate songs that I've written, chord voicings that I use, how the song evolved, how it was written. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. I love writing, and I like talking about it. And so it's continually evolving in that way. We do have other things on there. There's some like stuff from the road. Video from the road, but that hasn't quite really clicked yet.
Yeah, I saw some rehearsal tapes with the Renegades. And
yeah, things like that. But we haven't really gotten it together to do something of real quality there yet. That's something I definitely want to develop. But everybody's so busy, nobody wants to pick up the camera. They're busy doing something else.
Right, and I did read you're doing sort of a play along with series, I think, that I read about.
Yeah, that was actually done with Riff Time, but again, put up on my site before it comes out on Riff Time.
Okay.
But yeah, it's my trio, and we're in a room. I kind of tell the people this is what song we're doing, and show whatever riff there might be in there, and then we just start playing, and it's like a play along thing. You can solo with the band, you can play rhythm guitar with the band, and it's actually quite good, and people are responding well to it.
That's awesome. So what can we expect to hear on the set list tonight?
Well, this is the Ford Blues Band. I don't know how familiar with the Ford Blues Band you are.
I'm fairly familiar.
So it's not my music per se, it's music that we've done together, over the years. A few of my tunes are in there. Sometimes when we play there are more, sometimes there are less, But a little hard for me to say, we start with a Bo Diddley song, and there's some Butterfield in there, A few of my songs, my brother Patrick, some of his compositions, some of my brother Mark's compositions, and the other guitar player, Volker Striffler. He's a really good songwriter, great guitar player, good singer. We do some of Volker's material, so it's a smattering of all of these things.
Well, Robben, thank you so much for sitting with us, man.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you so much. Have a great set tonight.
Thank you very much. Cheers.